Yo, what's going on, guys? It is me, Justice1 or J1, whatever you want to call me, as long as you know me. And today we're going to be doing another top 10 video, but this time it's going to be how to start a band. And there's also going to be a phone interview midway. I actually recorded this intro like way later when I first made this video because the last intro that I made from it was actually really bad. So hey, I hope everyone's having a great and amazing year. I've been trying to work on myself a lot lately, and why not have this video be one of the best out there to start up the year? Am I right? So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get right into the video, starting off with number 1. Ah, your good old instrument. The good old bass you left in your closet and left it dust for straight up 5 years and you never picked it up because you never thought that you were going to be able to get a punk rock band. Classic. Now listen to me, I'm going to ask you these simple questions. Are you dedicated? Are you ready to start a band? Are you ready to cry in your room every single day things don't work out in a Snapchat group chat every time your band member says they can't make it or, oh, it's going to be a problem? Well, don't worry, because get ready for this crazy ride. This is going to be one interesting start to the start of a band. Now, before we get to that part, we need to go over the first and the very first of the basics to starting a band, and that is you. You need to make sure that your mental health and your mental state is at a great state. It doesn't have to be the most perfect, but it needs to not be bad, okay? Like, it's really important, because if you're not going through the best of your mindset in this time, it's going to be very stressful. And could you imagine bringing this stress into gigs, into tours, and all this crazy stuff? I don't recommend it. So, one, I recommend working on yourself before you start a band, because if you work on yourself, you're set, and that leads to motivation, dedication, and motivation, dedication are key essentials to a band. And more things to keep in mind are simple things like with an instrument. How long have you been playing this for? You can't say you've been playing bass for 5 years when it's been sitting in your closet, when I could be over here playing for 2 years non-stop, or every week even counts, like when it comes to, your own private lessons, when it comes to at school teaching, and other alternatives like learning yourself, etc. There is many different ways you can study your instrument, and that also leads to another subtopic of what is your instrument of your choice. What do you want to pick? What is going to be your go-to for the start of your band, or the start of a band that maybe, you and your friends or family or whoever you choose to be with, which that'll be in the next topic then. But what we need to focus on right now is, what instrument do you want? I'm gonna, for example, use basic instruments of metalcore to metal to punk rock or emo. Standard instruments like bass guitar, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, aka regular guitars, and a drummer, as well as a vocalist. You need to finalize which is which and who are you going to choose. Now, if you do vocals, I strongly recommend for you to actually practice your vocals. Don't just say you're going to be a vocalist and not take any effort into it, and just say that you can sing songs, like you can perfectly sing Ed Sheeran, and oh yeah, I sang Justin Bieber way better than anyone else can. No, that's not going to cut it, okay? Like, stop trying to pull an MGK, all right? It's just not going to work, all right? I'm sorry, MGK, you were just a perfect example for this. Now, anyways, listen, I'm not perfect either. That's why I chose not to be the vocalist, you know what I mean? Anyone can say that they're a vocalist and they've been singing songs for years in their life. Well, no, doesn't work like that. Hey, yo, hold up. I'm going to actually do the extra mile just to prove it. Hold up, let me call my front man real quick. Yo, yo, what's up, Nate? Right now, I'm on the part where it's the vocalist segment. Do you have any advice for like the upcoming vocalists?
Don't jump into it. Don't jump into it. You have to know you have to know like the foundation of singing and understanding singing before you can become a vocalist. You have to put in the practice because otherwise you'll suck ass. Like no matter how much you love music, unless you know how to sing, whether that be from extensive YouTube research or a vocal coach or something like that, you need to be able to sing before you can be a singer. And I know that's like sounds like no shit, but like people don't understand, like just people don't do that. Okay, you have to sing. You have to be able to sing before you can be a vocalist. And also study song structure and writing. If it's poetry or a certain type of like literature class in your school, take full advantage of all of those things. Maybe even audio engineering and that kind of stuff. That stuff will go a really long way, and musicians will respect you for that, and it will just make you an overall better musician.
Yo, thank you so much, my guy. I appreciate it.
Take
So,
it easy. Good luck with the video.
hey, man, that's awesome. Yo, you heard it
All
from
right.
this guy, man. Anyways, back into the video, y'all. Just thought y'all had to see and hear my vocalist. So, hey, shout out to Nate. So, that's what's
All
up.
right.
If you're into bass, for example, and you want to move to guitar, it's very different chord aggressions, and like the way you're supposed to move, your hands, like the hand movement, um, the speed, and many other factors that go into it, as well as a guitarist. If you want to become a bassist, there's a big problem with that because you're just going to want to play regular chords when it's only like single chords on bass, and you have to learn like box methods and all this stuff. And people say that they don't have to learn this stuff when, I mean, I guess you can't, you don't have to if you don't want to. But this is the kind of stuff that I recommend in my top 10. And another thing is also make sure that your drummer actually knows what fills and chops are, and breakdowns, and just make sure they know what that is, okay? Like, I know you have some drummers who know certain things or have practiced by themselves, but on the flip side, there's also those other drummers who actually know what they're talking about. They actually studied music theory, and I don't know, they were in like simple things like band in school or whatever, and maybe they did snare or whatever it is. I mean, they know some idea of that, time signatures, etc. Make sure they know what they're doing. Also, that's another key point, that you can't just say, oh yeah, I've been playing drums for 2 years, and you just have a gross, moldy drum set just sitting in your closet or something, or whatever, basement. You know what I mean? And you just don't use it. Oh yeah, whatever. I haven't tuned my drums in years. Like, if you hear that, I mean, that's bad. I mean, drummers don't usually have to tune, but you guys need to be at least tuning every so often, every few months. You know what I mean? To keep consistency and a really nice sound. These simple things like knowing your instrument, knowing that you're truly dedicated, knowing you want to be in a band and you're determined, all of these factors that come into play are going to be really important to the very first step of a band. And once you have all these, you're going to want to move on to number two. So here's number two for you. Assuming you got your instrument in hand and you're ready to go, you're determined, you're motivated, you're dedicated, everything is ready, and you just want to be in a band, you want to start now. Awesome, that's great. Now, what you need to do is you need to figure out how to get all the peeps together. You got to figure out, how am I going to recruit people? How am I going to get these people into my band to play and fulfill the other spots needed for instruments to really get the thing going? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to go on social media and or outside or in school, at work, wherever it may be, find a way to get band members. Look around, walk around, and ask people, are you into bands? What are you interested in doing in a band? Do you play guitar? Do you play drums, vocals, bass? You can go on social media platforms. You can go to Instagram, you can go to Snapchat and be like, hey, do you know anyone who is looking for a band or might be interested in being in a band? And, just ask them, people all around. I mean, there's so many of them. You can go to so many different websites to find people. And one of the apps that I strongly recommend is an app called Vamper, and it's basically the Tinder of bands, and this is the perfect band starter to getting people together and to really have the best kind of interaction with one another, and possibly meeting each other for like a band practice or getting to know each other, etc. And this app has helped me and Nate so much with our band right now and finding new people. And we found an amazing lead guitarist. Shout out to Addy. He's awesome. Me, Nate, and Addie have been working together on our band stuff, and it's been going really great. But besides that point, I just wanted to say, seriously, I strongly recommend Vamper. I am not sponsored at all, and I wish I was sponsored, truly, because it is such an awesome app. Also, you can catch me on there, literally first and last name, and I will put it link in the description down below. And anyway, so once you find all of your people, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get them all together. Figure out a date when you guys can meet each other all in person. Not 2 people, not 3 people. I'm talking all 4 or 5 members, depending on if you have a lead rhythm guitarist and drummer, vocalist, and bassist, etc. That depends on, your circumstances and how many people we have in the band, instruments, etc. So, anyways, once you guys can meet up with each other and discuss some genre ideas you have, discuss some band names that you guys have, and overall discuss like how many years have you been playing your instrument? How many years have you been studying your instrument? What bands do you like? What's your clique looking like at school or in school or when you were in school? What do you do for a living? What kind of hobbies do you guys do? Etc. And one of the biggest things I get when it comes to being in a band is to not only be with each other in a band setting, but to also be with each other in a friend, family kind of way. I know that was like worded very weirdly and it sounds a little different, but you want to be in that setting where you guys can hang out outside of band practice, outside of which we would call at this point work. And I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but if you're really trying to go, the 100 yards, I mean, now is the time. And once you discuss all of this stuff, show up to each other's houses. Make it a constant thing, like once a week. Like, if you can get into this habit, that's awesome. Like, for me, Nate, and Addie, we're to the point where we keep it so constant, to the point where we literally can't skip one day of practice without being upset. And that is something you really need and want, and that's what makes your band a band. Alrighty, so tip number 3, consistency is key. Now, whenever it comes to bands like this, you're already past your few stages of, okay, well, now I have everyone, and now I'm dedicated to my instrument and everything is going well, is what you would think, but then you have to realize whether or not the members you chose are the right members. Now, ask yourself a couple of these questions. Do they make excuses? Do they constantly work on their projects like riffs, demos, etc., with their instrument? Do they still practice music theory? Even though this is optional and not required, it's still recommended to have the best benefit for your band. And all of these simple questions lead up to, are these people the right people to carry the band? Now, this is something a lot of bands really, really, really struggle with. And they'll keep these members who keep making excuses saying, oh, I'm sorry, next week I can't make it to band practice because I have to vacuum my roof. Like, you know what I mean? It's all of these ridiculous excuses that they make that doesn't make them a great band member. And these people you need to get out of your band and out of your life, because they aren't going to benefit you, and they're only going to hide, your band from taking it to fame or a local level, etc. So you need to make sure that those people stay consistent and are still in your band and are still dedicated, because that can also lose motivation, which is something you don't want and can lead you down this really bad rabbit hole that it's very hard to get out of. And another thing to keep in mind is the constant schedule. When you practice once every week, you don't stop. You don't take a bye week, okay? This isn't like football or anything, you know what I mean? You keep it consistent. And if you miss a day, it has to be for a legitimate reason. Like, you were literally sick, or nowadays it's because you had COVID or something like that. If it's serious, it's serious. But if it's something BS like, oh, well, I was spending all day picking my nose and everything, no, that's not going to work. So consistency eventually leads you to have a actual good band. Moving on to number 4. Hey, alrighty. Well, tip number 4, let's get right on into the pre-gigging session. Now, this is everything you need to know right before you're about to get into the gigs and get into venues and things like that. And one of the first things you need to have is definitely a demo out there. Now, let's say your band has been practicing once a week for a while now, and this demo tape can be at any time, like anytime, anywhere, any place, okay? All you need to do is have your band and have one person record the demo off of their phone and have it at least decent enough quality so that you can hear it. I know sometimes it gets very distorted and such, but that's fine, okay? You're not going to be Metallica right away whenever you record this demo. You want to at least have it for some reference. And then once you're done with this demo, what you're going to do is you're going to make multiple more demos. And now you can use a phone and then eventually use a PC, but right off the bat, I actually don't recommend the PC because, you know what I mean? It's eventually you'll get to that professional stage, and then this demo could possibly go on to your EP. And after that, once you have every single thing and every demo ready and everyone feels confident in their work and they really like it, you're going to keep making more and more demos, eventually forming a song that everyone likes. Now, if there is a certain part that the drummer, for instance, doesn't like, make sure that that drummer gets what he likes, because next thing you know, you'll have a song that's like Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, and then you'll be playing it throughout your whole life and you don't even like the song. That's not fun. That's not cool. That's just like selling out. It's not fun, This is music. It should be your passion if you're trying to get into the music industry and everything. It shouldn't just be about the money and fame. Honestly, it should really be about what you truly like and what you like to play. And these factors also come into play right before gigging. And now the other part of gigging that I wanted to talk about before we get to the physical, actual, you're there at the venue and you're gigging, you need to know what amps you're going to want. You're going to need to know what you need for the trip. Now, with this and all that being said, you need to have, for a bassist, a 200 watt amp recommended, okay? Don't quote me on this, but I did some research and I believe it's about 200 watts. And for a guitar player, it's about 100 watts, maybe 200 even. And that should be just about fine for your first gig. And now I'm talking, this would help with bars or like very small venues. This is obviously not going to fill a whole stadium. And anyways, why would you be at a stadium for your first gig? I mean, you're not the best, and if someone tells you this, you're obviously probably getting ripped off or scammed, or even if it is the big deal, you're going to make a fool out of yourself. You want to keep it small and eventually build up to the big stadiums, like for example, Metallica does, or like something like that. That is a key essential you need to have. And for drums, make sure that these drums are tuned. Make sure that these are possibly even new drums, or at least new drum heads, new cymbals. Don't come in with like broken cymbals and all that. It's just, it doesn't make it sound good. And honestly, I actually don't know if you need microphones or not for certain venues. I haven't done any research on that specifically, but there are definitely other videos out there that can tell you whether or not you need that. But I can also vouch for my bassists and guitarists that you do at least want a minimum of probably 200 watts, especially for guitar, just to be safe. People tell me 100 is fine, but I really think you should stay around the 200 watt mark. Another thing I recommend too is if you have songs with multiple tunings, I recommend keeping one or two bass guitars, or if it's a guitar, one or two guitars, and then that's that for the tuning. So you don't have to constantly tune, because no one really likes it when a band has to tune and then take forever and then apologize to the crowd. That's just not cool. You want to be just ready for the next song. And I definitely recommend locking tuners for sure, because if you don't have locking tuners, that's also another crisis within itself, because a really detuned song is just as bad as a mixer guy trying to ruin your entire show. So, anyways, moving on to tip number 5. Let me know in the comments down below, because this is about maybe the halfway to towards the end mark. Let me know in the comments down below, please, if I missed anything. I'll take any critiques, and that would be awesome for my next video that I want to put out there. And my top 10s are also going to be lots of band tips, probably, or just like personal tips that I recommend from my own experience, just to help you guys out a lot. Anyways, sorry about that. Let's move right on to number 5. Bet you guys were not expecting that Lamb of God. I mean, hey, well, I got you right there. Anyways, tip number 5, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the gigs. You have made it to the biggest of big leagues. You're right before tour here. Which, by the way, guys, I thought I'd mention, I know this is kind of the wrong time to mention it, but I'm going to be making a part 2 of the top 10 tips, and this video is going to have 5 tips, and the other one's going to have 5, partially because I'm running out of room for gameplay, and also because of the fact that it is a super long video. Like, I was not expecting for this to, be about 30 minutes to an hour, so, I mean, this is big, and I hope you guys really enjoy, and it'd really help if you guys give me some feedback on this. Like I said, feel free to leave a like, and feel free to subscribe for any upcoming top 10 tips or any other things in my series within this channel. With that being said, gigs, good old gigs, we're here now, you made it. And the first thing you need to know is that you definitely don't want to have anybody absent, because you'll have to get fill-ins, and you definitely don't want to get a fill-in last minute, especially. You're going to have to get people who can always be there and always, not screw up and all that kind of stuff and make dumb excuses as to why they can't go, because it's just like missing practice. It takes the same toll as someone being absent from practice, and that's not a good feeling, which everyone should know, or at least I hope it's not a good feeling. And with the fill-ins, again, you cannot at all do this last minute. You have to make sure it's weeks in advance. So if someone's going on vacation for whatever reason that day, which they really shouldn't, make sure you have a fill-in for them. And typically when you go live, especially if it's your first time, you're gonna have a fill-in? I mean, think about that. That's not good, because you want to have your full band. If you're trying to go to local venues and you see an inconsistent band with not many of the same members that made the music itself is not there, it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you're just going to want to make sure that you have your two basses, for example, for tunings, or even just have one as a spare. You never know. Or maybe one's a 4 and the other's a 5 string. Same with guitars, like 6 and 7 or 8 string, or if you have to change tunings, etc. And with the drums, you probably want a drum key. In that department, I'm not too sure. But anyways, the one biggest thing you need to know when you are going live, you have a gig and all that, is to have a proper set list and a proper order. You're going to want 5 to 6 songs on your starter playlist. One of them, I recommend to have only one cover if you are a cover type of band. If you are just a cover band and you're trying to get somewhere, you're going literally nowhere. Just take it from me. And other people have said this, and one of the biggest things I recommend from Nate Islam is that you should have only one cover. By the way, shout out to Nate Islam as well. Link will be in the description down below for his channel, because he has helped me out a lot on this top 10 tips video. So another useful place to find information is Nate Islam. So definitely check out his channel down below. But once you have the 5 to 6 song set list, you're gonna want to have a slow song in there, maybe 2 slow songs, or some faster pace, upbeat kind of songs mixed in between the slow songs, because too many slow songs are really boring, and less and lots of intensity can be too much. Unless you're trying to go to just a death metal concert, you know what you came for. I mean, you're prepared, but you always want to have slow songs, especially for your band. But anyways, with that being said, let me know in the comments down below, again, if I missed something in this top 10 and top 5 series for the specific episode. So anyways, stay tuned for part 2, ladies and gentlemen. I know this is very long, but thank you for sticking with me. And thank you to all the new and old subscribers who are coming around here. Thank you to all the viewers as well. I just want to say it means a lot, and I hope everyone has a good rest of your year. I mean, obviously I'm going to make tons of more videos for you guys. So, yeah, really, I hope everyone has a great rest of your day as well. Peace.